1. This increment of the story is where I decide to give Sugarbeard a chance and begin to think he may have potential as a human. So it's important, but to be honest, not that juicy. It had been a few weeks since I had a direct interaction with Sugarbeard. I'd seen him around the residence hall or heading to classes. He'd said hello to me a few times and I had replied, just to be polite. Anyway, I was settled into my part-time job by now, which was pretty late in the afternoon until most of the college offices closed. I was an office assistant and managed calls and emails. I also sometimes ran errands for my boss. That night she handed me her tablet she used at work and asked me to bring it to the campus IT's office. I don't remember exactly what was wrong with it. It was nearly a year ago now. I headed off to the office and saw through the glass door that Sugarbeard apparently had a part-time job too. I opened the door to be greeted immediately with, "Did you turn it off and on again?" I took a step back to allow the door to slowly close. "It was a joke," he protested. I sighed and walked up to the front desk to hand the tablet to him. Over a bunch of candy wrappers and now 2 empty cans of Mountain Dew amassed on the desk. After explaining the problem to him for a bit, he admitted he'd have to troubleshoot and that it would take a while. He assured me he'd have it done before IT's closed, which was about the same time the office I worked at closed. We decided I'd just pick it up at the end of the day. When I came back, Sugarbeard was deeply absorbed in some papers, scratching at it with a pencil. As I came closer to the front desk, I realized it was an incredibly detailed and very skillful sketch of a woman. One step closer, and I realized that woman was me. I froze, petrified. At that moment, he'd noticed my presence, looked up, went deathly pale, and I bolted. I felt violated. What was he fantasizing about that he felt the need to draw me? I heard the door swing open behind me, and stumbling, "Wait!" Sugarbeard yelled, somehow already winded. Against my better judgment, I stopped and turned. He panted as he got closer, holding the drawing up in the air. He ripped it up and let the pieces fall to the ground. He squatted, winded, trying to catch his breath. After a moment I said, "The drawing itself wasn't the problem. Why did you draw that? You barely even know me." "I know. It's just, I'm bad with people. So I draw them to practice looking them in the eye or being around them." I realized the motive behind it, and I felt a little tingle of sympathy, but I was still deeply uncomfortable. "How did you memorize my appearance enough to draw me that well?" I was afraid at the time he could have been stalking me to accomplish this. "No, I looked you up on Facebook and used your profile picture as a model." "Oh," I murmured. "I'm sorry you didn't agree to that. I'm really bad with people, and you seem to tolerate me. I was hoping if I worked at it enough we could get along." That's when I felt how lonely he was, and took a little pity on him. The drawing, after all, was done tastefully. He'd drawn me decently clothed, and not in a seductive pose as far as I could tell. I didn't get the best look at it. I didn't know if he was the type of friend I wanted to be around, but I supposed I should at least be friendly to him. I finally managed. "How did it go with the tablet?" He scrambled to the office and brought the tablet back with his coat on and locked the office door behind him. He shuffled up to me, handing me the tablet. "All fixed." "Aren't you closing up a little early?" "Only 5 minutes, and it's pretty dark out there. I don't think you should be out there alone at night." While it did make me feel a little feisty and degraded that he thought I couldn't handle myself, especially when our campus was so well lit, I calmed myself and let him follow me. I dropped off the tablet with my boss and left for the night. Sugarbeard waited for me outside. We walked back to our residence hall. While he yammered on the entire time about IT-related fixes that I didn't understand. He didn't pause to see if I was actually interested. He just kept on yammering. Yeah, probably not friend material, but I could at least be friendly when around him. In the next installment, we'll encounter Sourbeard, Sugarbeard's incredibly painful to be around roommate. 2. Now, to preface this, I was not present when this all went down. I heard about it from my sister and my niece. About 10 years ago, my niece and her friends were way into anime. They would all get together, dress up in group costumes, and have a blast at conventions. They were your normal anime nerds geeking out over shows I've never heard of. My sister is an old-school nerd and does cosplay as well. There was a big convention near where we all lived, so my sister and another mother of the group volunteered to take this passel of 6 teenagers and chaperone. I don't know what costumes they were wearing, but this concerns one of my niece's friends. I'll call her Haley. Now, Haley is one of those girls who's been blessed, or cursed, by genetics. She developed very early, and is quite naive about the ways of the world, so she's dressed in a Japanese maid's uniform, showing a lot of leg, high heels, etc., and is just having fun with her friends. However, she's prime neckbeard bait. My sister was having quite the time keeping the leering hordes away from Haley, who was salivating like wild dogs after a rump roast. On Saturday night, my sister and a couple of the kids are returning to the room after the fashion show, when my niece said, where's Haley? She's disappeared, and my sister goes into mama bear mode. She starts charging through the convention, eyes keen as she's running around and trying to find this wayward 15-year-old. Let me set the scene a bit. My sister is dressed as Bellatrix Lestrange, and she is a disabled veteran. She walks with a cane due to damage done to her legs during the First Gulf War. She's overweight and at first glance doesn't look dangerous. However, she is a fully trained MP and still keeps in practice where she can. My sister and this small group of teenagers come around the corner of a hotel floor to find Haley literally over the shoulder of a huge dude with 2 smaller greasy dudes flanking him. Haley looks worried but not overly concerned, more like, "Hey, where are we going, guys?" "Put her down!" I grew up with my sister. I know how loud she can be, and it startled the hell out of this trio of neckbeards. Haley is summarily lowered to the floor, and my sister comes hobbling up, getting right in the face of these guys. She told me they were all in their mid-20s, far too old to be carrying around a leggy teenage blonde in a maid's outfit. "She is 15, you fucks! Get the fuck out before I call security!" The big guy and another were looking chagrined, staring at the floor, but the one guy isn't having any of it. My niece said he looked like an evil version of Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. "Oh, come on, you bitch! We were just having fun, Jesus! It's not like we were doing anything!" He stands up to his full height, puffing out his chest. "Like, look how she's dressed! What are you gonna do about it, you all—" He puts his hand out for some reason, trying to push my sister and her cane away from him. I'm only going by what was related to me by my niece and her friends. My sister is legitimately embarrassed by what happened, and ignores me when I try to ask for details. My sister grabs the offending wrist, twists, pulls, and judo tosses this dude right over her shoulder. She follows through by landing on him, putting him in an arm bar and wrapping her thighs around him. "What did you just say?" The guy is screaming in pain. My sister is forcing her fingers into his wrist, and everyone is just absolutely stunned. "Don't you ever talk to me or anyone like that again. I don't care what she's dressed like. She is a girl." Now here's the problem. Security is never around when you need them. So one of my niece's friends bolts off to the con cops, trying to get help. Every time the guy struggles, my sister squeezes harder. His friends are looking nervous. It's a Mexican standoff. If she lets him up, there's a chance he's gonna go after her. If his friends try to help, there's a good chance my sister will break his arm. Haley is crying softly, sorry she caused all this trouble. My niece is telling her she did not cause this. The neckbeards brought it on themselves. Damn right. Finally, 2 security volunteers appear, and my sister rolls off the weasel. He jumps up and starts screaming assault while Haley and my niece are helping my sister to her feet. This poor, disabled mother. Guess who security believed? Weasel was rejected, his friends were warned, and my sister spent the night with a margarita and a bottle of ibuprofen. 3. I'm in my 2nd year of university and hope to be an elementary teacher. This profession in our country is hugely, over 90%, female-dominated. Thus, in our whole school we have 3 guys, one of which is in our year. But there is this guy, Neckbeard, who is actually 5th year, failed so many exams he will need more years to finish. The uni is 4 years originally, and he is in our year for several subjects, including children's literature, where we talk about personal stuff for some random reason. The professor is the type that thinks we are friends but doesn't give you the chance to want to be friends. I'm 20, attractive, sorry not sorry, and what Neckbeards would classify as a nerdy girl, aka I game and watch series and read books. This guy is huge, sideways and up, and he stinks. Like, I could be sitting several seats away and I can still smell him. Sadly, most male attention I get is creepy, so I developed a strategy I call mention my boyfriend. Basically, if a guy starts flirting, I mention my boyfriend in the convo somewhere. Usually works. Not with Neckbeard. From the first class we had together, he heavily followed me, sitting next to me and forgetting his book all the time, so he would need to lean in close to see mine. We have to wear masks in uni and have never been so glad for it. He stinks like a dead body. Makes me want to literally gag. He would also make creepy comments about himself, and during my class, one time, we had to tell what we would give each person in the room as a stupid game. We don't really know this guy. We know he is always late and does jack shit at uni, so we gave him things like calendars, watches, planners, and so on. His turn came and he gave everyone generic things like books, chocolate, and so on. And he said he would give me a ring. Not fucking kidding, a ring! I looked at him, awkward and confused, and the professor cheered this on, saying how cute we would be. I laughed, awkward and feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, no, actually I have someone else giving me a ring, but thanks. He and the professor, she is way too horny to be a teacher. What the fuck? Keep pushing the joke, and it was just terrible. He came up to me after class and told me I should have told him I have a boyfriend before we get so involved. I must have looked stupid because I was shocked. Involved? With what? Or who? I don't think we are involved, I said, and tried to move on to the next class, but he followed. What do you mean? You kept giving me hints. What the hell? Now it was my turn to say, what the hell? I didn't. He proceeded to tell me that talking about my gaming and Lord of the Rings addiction in class was basically me telling him how much we have in common, and that I shouldn't be whoring around if I'm already taken. I went into the bathroom, and he couldn't follow. The next week, he came up to me after class, where he finally didn't sit next to me, and told me he looked my partner up on Facebook. I told him that I find it very weird that he would do that, and that I did not give signs and he should move on from his own confusion. Info needed here, my boyfriend is a tall guy, but thin, lean, with no extra muscle besides what he uses. I could go on and on about how much he is my type, but nobody wants that. He is what you would consider universally attractive. He told me how my boyfriend is a bundle of sticks and a skeleton, and how he would never protect me. I got mad, like M.A.D. Nobody gets the shit on my partner. Told him that my partner is not a skeleton, he just isn't fat, and luckily, he knows where the shower and deodorant are. Then told him to leave me alone or he will have problems. I don't know about these problems. Not like the university would care, just wanted to sound scary and left. Now, whenever we're in class, he protests by sitting as far as possible. I can't say I'm sorry. 4. I was always an outcast at school. My shy demeanor and love of anime made me an easy target for a lot of school bullies and running jokes. It didn't help that my social skills were NAT 1. I ate away my pain and went from being a skinny kid to looking like Porky Pig with long hair. I didn't realize that I was becoming a neckbeard. There were many new faces in middle school. This made me hopeful that I might finally make friends and have a chance at a social life outside of RuneScape. Insert Metalbeard. We met in chemistry class. The teacher wanted everyone to pick a partner for some experiment with Bunsen burners. Sadly, no one stepped up to be my partner except one person. This guy looked like he just left Hot Topic and was wearing metallic pants, a Slipknot t-shirt, a shell necklace, and had a chained wallet with a Slayer symbol on it. Metalbeard introduced himself with a cocky grin, and I shyly introduced myself. Right away, I got strange vibes from this guy because he wasn't being a jerk towards me. I ignored the Spidey sense. After the burners were lit, we began mimicking Beavis and saying, "Fire, fire," followed by the character's iconic laughter. I was kinda shocked that there was another kid that watched Beavis and Butthead, so we began quoting the show and laughing, as we tried not to get burned during the project. Soon we became friends and talked a lot on the phone about our favorite wrestlers, shows, and games. We also liked the same kinds of girls, goth chicks. Everything seemed great, like I finally got a real friend, but soon things got weird. Sometimes Metalbeard would call, and I wouldn't have anything to say, and he wouldn't have anything to say, but would stay on the phone, breathing heavily. I wouldn't hang up because I didn't want to risk losing my only friend, and because I didn't understand that it is acceptable social etiquette to dismiss myself and hang up. Took most of my life to learn social cues. Sometimes I caught Metalbeard staring at me, and then he would suddenly act like he was looking at something else. This made me feel uncomfortable. He was the self-professed king of metal and would have a lot to say if I mentioned that I liked some country songs, to which he would reply, "What?" and would compare it to Brokeback Mountain while using gay slurs, and that, "I need to watch my asshole around you," says the guy who creepily stares at me often. Later, the time came for our first sleepover at his house. That encounter with his family will forever be burned in my mind and my therapist's. With my vast social anxieties and not feeling safe away from home, this was a big leap to take. I didn't understand how all this friendship stuff works except what seemed normal in animes. With the determination to experience normal friendship stuff, my bag was packed with the necessities and I was on my way. Seeing many dilapidated trailers in the park did not disturb me. Growing up in a beat-down trailer myself, this was kinda relieving to see. Though looking like crap on the outside, the inside of my home was comfortable, and expected something similar with Metalbeard's place. I was surprised it wasn't. My dad, in a rush to leave the ghetto and return to our own, dropped me off without even meeting Metalbeard's family. Like Mario arriving at Bowser's castle, facing down the giant fortress as lightning and grey clouds filled the sky. Then reality kicked in, and I knocked on the peeling green-painted door. Metalbeard opened the door with the same shit-eating grin he normally wore and told me to come in. Besides the morgue temperatures in the air, the trailer seemed like one big hospital room. Looking around, I did notice a bookshelf with nothing but Stephen King novels. There were also fairy figurines all over the place. Besides the books, fairies, and ninth circle of hell temperature, nothing else stood out. "Mom, this is OP." This is all the introduction I got. His mom was a sweet, take-no-shit kind of lady. She dressed like she worked in a retirement home or ran bingo games for the elderly. This surprised me because, based off of Metalbeard's attire, I expected her to have a purple mohawk, leather pants, and Metallica t-shirt. Nope, nothing like that. The best I could sum her up in the years I've known her is she's very motherly, but not overbearing. Though her ways of trying to have others learn from their mistakes instead of stopping them has led to many issues down the line. Now his stepdad, ugh. I feel like I need a shot of whiskey before continuing on. He is a closet creep, because it's the first thing to come to mind. After saying hi to Metalbeard's mom, I turned around to the noise of toenails being clipped. There I beheld the reason aliens travel millions of light years to study the human race. There before me was what looked like the love child of the Michelin Tire Man and Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Closet Creep was only wearing his tidy, not-so-whities and a camo mesh trucker hat. He didn't make eye contact with me until he clipped his last yellowish toenail that nearly hit my face as it flew through the room. He finally looked up to acknowledge me, Then his eyes lit up like a child seeing fireworks for the first time. His crusty eyes gazed me up and down, which still sends chills down my spine when I think about it. Finally, Closet Creep spoke.
"Well, old P, don't take this the wrong way, but you got some big titties and a nice big ass."
I was ready to go home. Metalbeard's mom just rolled her eyes and told me to ignore him. Metalbeard then led me to his room. He pointed to his parents' room and said not to go in there. As we walked past the somewhat cracked door, there was something that caught my eye. Something glowing on the floor, with enough light to reveal it was a strap-on. With my limited knowledge of adult stuff, I didn't know what that thing was until I got a glimpse of it again walking past their room many years later. We entered Metalbeard's bedroom, which was slightly less freezing than the rest of the trailer. He had metal band posters all over his walls except a pin-up of some bikini model. His room was surprisingly organized and had a 32-inch television that was considered a big screen for a kid, though given the year the thing took up a lot of space. To the side of the TV, a Sony PlayStation and a variety of games such as Twisted Metal, GOW, GTA, Tony Hawk, and different racing games. He fired up Twisted Metal and passed me a controller. I didn't know how to play and got roasted easily. Even so, I was having a good time playing games, but still freaked out from Closet Creep. After some time, his mom brought us a bowl of popcorn. When she left, Metalbeard asked if I wanted to watch a movie, to which I said yes. He popped in an unlabeled VHS tape.
The things people used to use to watch movies on before DVDs.
A cartoon came on which looked like an episode of Looney Tunes. Soon a cartoon woman was on the screen, and two anthropomorphic characters tried having sex with her. Me being dim at times took a moment to realize that my friend, the guy I'm spending the night with, just put on a porn for us to watch side by side while eating popcorn. That was so effing weird. And this is coming from a weird guy. I then began laughing through the video as for some reason it seemed so damn strange and funny. Then Metalbeard put his hand in my thigh. Joke! When the awkward 60 minutes were up, he put on GTA, and we took turns on missions causing chaos. The rest of the night was spent playing GTA, talking about how we hate the rich kids at school, and our desires to be popular. It was time to call it a night. I asked where I would sleep, and he said with him in the bed, as he threw down a tattered pillow next to his Pantera pillow. Every alarm was going off in my brain, as I was super uncomfortable to sleep next to another guy so close, but alas, I did not want to cause trouble, so I lay down next to Metalbeard, as he soon began snoring. I couldn't sleep at all. I just laid there staring at the 3 hermit crabs in their tank. It was 3 a.m. when I felt something grab my butt. With a horrified look, I turned over to see Metalbeard asleep, with the shit-eating grin he normally had. I pushed his hand away and rolled out of bed onto the floor, then stood up, grabbed the pillow, and laid on the cold floor. At this point, I became teary-eyed and tried not to wake anyone. Now, around 4 a.m., I began dozing off despite the cold floor and no blanket. My eyes, heavy, began slowly closing when I heard a creaking noise. Startled, I looked at the bedroom door that was formerly closed, now cracked. What I saw became burned in my mind for the rest of my life. It was Closet Creep peeking through the crack of the door, a somewhat thirsty look on his face. He didn't notice that I spotted him, and I tried to close my eyes to the point where it looked as if I was asleep, but could still see a little. My heart was racing, and didn't know what to do. And that's when I heard it. A loud, wet fart from Closet Creep, and a sign of relief from him as he closed the door to continue doing whatever the hell he was doing. Morning came, and my tired, bloodshot eyes did not fail me. Metalbeard woke up, let out a nasty fart of his own, and was surprised to see me on the floor. He then gave me a light kick to my side and asked why I was on the ground. I murmured that there was a spring in my side and couldn't sleep. He laughed, called me a pussy, and said let's go eat. My breakfast was a fine bowl of cereal dust. You know, the last of the box where you get a little cereal and a lot of dust. I tried eating what little there was as I watched Metalbeard happily scarf down a popcorn bowl's worth of cereal that could have easily fed both of us. I could feel Closet Creep's eyes on the back of my skull, but was too tired to care. It was morning, so didn't think that the creep meter would be high so early. With a smile, Metalbeard's mom asked how I liked the sleepover, as I began to say, well... Metalbeard interrupted, said we had a blast, and he wanted me to move in. She laughed and said she's happy we enjoyed ourselves. For the rest of my time there, I was begging God for my dad to show up. Metalbeard and I did have fun playing some Tony Hawk. Finally, my dad showed up, and I didn't want to seem rude by leaving a dust clone as I ran to the car. I thanked Metalbeard's mom for her hospitality, said bye to Metalbeard, went home. My dad asked how it was, to which I said, his mom is a nice lady, but his stepdad creeps me out. I did have fun playing video games and eating popcorn, though. Dad said that having fun is what counts. I never did tell him about Closet Creep's inappropriate behavior, as I didn't want to cause trouble. As I got to enjoy a family meal and went to play later that day, my mom said I got a phone call. I wondered who it could be. It was Metalbeard. He wanted to talk about the girls he liked at school. I smacked my hand across my forehead with bewilderment, as he rambled on impressively without taking many breaths in between words. What did I get myself into? 5. This happened around 7 or 8 years ago now, so I was 18, 19, fresh off a breakup with a long-term girlfriend. Feeling sorry for myself and quite lonely, horny, I asked a female friend of mine if she had any friends looking for a casual hookup. Unfortunately, she did know someone. I'll call her Rachel, because that's her name. We spent a few weeks texting each other. I felt pretty confident that I'd made it clear that I wasn't looking for anything serious, just a hookup really, possibly a friends with benefits situation. It seemed pretty clear to me that she was also looking for this. We spent a couple hours at a pub just drinking, chatting, and watching live music. We got on quite well, platonically. And we seemed to find each other attractive, so we went back to her parents' place to screw around. The sex was terrible, and trust me, I'm a bit of an expert in terrible sex. She was bad, and I was bad. Her dog watched the entire thing and barked the entire time. Despite this, we did hook up once or twice more, mainly just head this time though. Around 2 months goes by, and we haven't seen each other, and not really texted much. But one Saturday I bumped into her at the pub and we chat pleasantly. In the middle of this nice catch-up, she says, "You know, I was going to message you, pretending to be pregnant, just for a joke." I was pretty creeped out, but kinda laughed it off and asked, you're not pregnant though, are you?" "I don't think so. Need to make sure." I was a little worried, but tried not to think too much about it for the next few days. The following Wednesday, I'm waiting outside a meeting room at work, and I've got a message from our protagonist with no text, just a photo of a positive pregnancy test. Obviously, I was freaking the fuck out during the whole duration of the meeting. Couldn't concentrate and made a pretty bad impression to my bosses. When I came out of the meeting, around an hour later, she texted again, telling me it was all just a joke. Who thinks that is funny? After I'd responded to her angry and upset, she lost her marbles, calling me over and over, telling me, "It's so obvious you just don't care." I'm not exactly sure why I was supposed to care about my non-existent child. The following week, she tried the same trick, this time insisting it wasn't a joke, sending me another photo of a positive pregnancy test. When I told her that I googled pregnancy test and the first photo that came up was the one she'd sent me, she started another rampage about how I just didn't care, I'm just like everyone else, maybe she should just end it all, etc., etc., etc. 6 months go by, we haven't spoken at all. I'm hanging out with some friends and we decided to play poker. Obviously, we want as many people as possible to play, so my friends convinced me to ask everyone in my contacts, including Crazy Rachel. My entire message reads, "Do you know how to play poker?" She replies, "No, why?" And I don't message back. In the end, my friends and I didn't manage to get enough people to play poker, so we're just chilling out, playing Xbox at my house. when, despite the fact that she'd never been to my house before, and to this day me having no idea how she knew where I lived, Rachel's car is parked outside. I didn't go out to her, and she stayed there for at least an hour just staring at my front door. Bear in mind, she had driven at least 1.5 hours from her own house. Since that day, I haven't seen her. However, since that time, I've had 2 serious relationships, one of which I am still in now, and very happily so. And she still tries to contact me regularly to this day. I have a season ticket for a football team, and although she had absolutely zero interest in football when we met, when she found out I went every 2 weeks, she has spent at least £600 per year on her very own season ticket. To this day, 8 years on, every single game pre-COVID, I get a text message from her at half saying, "I can see you," or some variation of that line, then sometimes a description of my outfit, or the people sat around me. Obviously, there's a lot of people around, but I have no idea where she can see me from, and I have not seen her once. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Neckbeards in the Wild, episode 68. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do tip your hat to the like button. And as it's Christmas, block up your chimney in case anyone tries to shimmy down it. That is not Santa. I repeat, that is not Santa. Someone is trying to break in. Alrighty, where are we? This is Sunday. There is a... I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. I don't know what Lionel Richie was doing that he couldn't stand the pain, but perhaps he had an encounter with Metal Beer's mother from Story 4. Right. Don't think there's any shout-outs today. Beyond the fact, you guys, shout out the subscribers, because you're all fucking awesome. Seriously. This hasn't been a great year for me. You know I've had my ups and downs with health. Right now we're kind of down but not falling, if that makes sense. And thanks to your support and your patience and your continued watching of the videos and your various donations and support through Patreon, buying merchandise, you have made it possible for me to get through another year, albeit a somewhat shitty year. You have made a year much more bearable than it would have been ordinarily, so I appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.